going on, everybody? You're tuning into another episode of 20 Tim Minutes. I am your host, Tim McCarthy. Today we have on Community Development Manager from Movember. Please welcome on Max Skinner. Max, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tim. Pumped to be here, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, man. Let's jump right into it. What is Movember?
Yeah, let's get to it. So, for those who don't know what Movember is, beyond just a little mustache logo that you may or may not recognize, Movember is the leading charity changing the face of men's health on a global scale. So, what does that mean? Well, we raise money and we focus on three critical cause categories, including prostate cancer, testicular cancer, and most recently mental health and suicide prevention for young men. Basically, we have a huge fundraiser every year in the month of November, but we call it Movember. And the funds that we raise here are to support research and programs that enable men to live happier, healthier, and longer lives. The origins behind Movember are pretty fascinating. It was actually started back in 2003 by a group of guys in Australia. The group of friends from college, they all had mustaches at the time, and they were all grabbing a beer at this bar in Melbourne, Australia, called the Gypsy Bar. And after a few beers, they got to talking, and they noticed that there weren't a lot of mustaches around anymore, and they kind of wanted to bring the mustache back as a fashion trend, so to speak. And they got to talking, and they were actually inspired by a friend's mother who was raising money for breast cancer at the time. And they felt like men's health wasn't getting as much attention as some of the other cause categories, like Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, Suicide Prevention Month in May and September, you name it.
Yep.
And so the story goes, a couple of our founders, Travis Garone and Luke Slatery, they convinced about 30 of their buddies, all out of Australia, to grow out their mustache that November and make the campaign about prostate cancer. So again, this was back in 2003. Super grassroots movement. They didn't get much traction that year in terms of like fundraising, but they were like astounded by how much conversation and awareness their mustaches generated, right? So after building up some momentum that first year, they actually ended up partnering with the Prostate Cancer Foundation out of New Zealand, and then they registered Movember as an official charity back in 2006, and then the rest is history.
Why is it in November? Is it just because it rhymes well, Movember, or what?
Yeah, it kind of just happened. It was kind of happenstance. They were like sitting in a bar around October, and November was kind of clear on the calendars in terms of being an awareness month. And so they just kind of picked November out of a hat. And then they figured, around the holidays, people are a little more charitable. Yep. It's a little colder in November, so folks might be a little more inclined to rock a mustache. So it just kind of flowed out naturally,
Nothing like a good beer and coming up with, we need to grow mustaches. So
right? Talk about like a men's cause at its roots.
Exactly. Now, when I first heard of Movember, it was always just prostate and testicular. Now you guys moved on to men's health and suicide awareness. How has that been?
It's been great, man. I mean, obviously we focus on anything that supports men living longer. And, we've noticed, as I'm sure the rest of the world has noticed over the past 5 or 10 years, the suicide rate among men has only been increasing. In fact, 4 out of 5 suicides in the US are by men. We lose about 37,000 men to suicide every year in the US. So clearly, clearly there's an issue here. And I think especially with the pandemic, the whole social isolation piece, a struggling economy, a bunch of global issues, people are stressed. And as a result, men are becoming more anxious and depressed, and they're taking their lives, unfortunately. And so Movember, being the progressive nonprofit that we are, recognized kind of the systemic root of that issue. And we wanted to, this was about 5 years ago, we introduced mental health as one of our root causes, right? And so, part of the funds that we raise go to mental health programs, just making some of those resources and programs more accessible for men, especially, veterans, folks in urban communities, low-income communities. So we're just trying to make these resources and programs way more accessible to young men.
And then we still have the prostate and testicular cancer too that's going with. So do you have any stats behind those two?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's still, a huge focal point of our whole mission and our cause. Prostate cancer, as I mentioned, is was the very first cause that the guys in Australia represented 20 years ago. And one of the nuggets that we always tell our fundraisers is that 1 in 8 men in the U.S. will be diagnosed with prostate cancer at some point in their lifetime. So, you're in a room with 80 of your buddies. One of them's probably going to get prostate cancer at some point in their lives, which is, fairly depressing statistic, but that's part of the reason why Movember exists, is
Yep.
to get these numbers out there, to get folks talking about it, get them recognizing it so that they go get tested, right? Go get a PSA screening. That's what it's all about. So yeah, prostate cancer, testicular cancer, obviously testicular cancer, as you can imagine, is the most common cause among young men. And so those three causes are, uh, they're part of the reasons that a lot of young men are dying early for very preventable reasons too. So that's what we're trying to echo here.
How were you involved with Movember, and why did you get involved with Movember?
Yeah, so I am a community development manager here. So basically, I help oversee our annual peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, which takes place in November each year. Basically, we oversee about $15 million that's raised in revenue for Movember. About 75% of that benefits and supports some of our men's health programs, and then the other 25% goes to like administrative costs
Yep.
to pay folks like myself to keep the lights on. I personally have been in Movember for less than 2 months. I've been in the nonprofit fundraising space for the last 5 years. I was actually running my own donor software startup the past 3 years in the crypto philanthropy space. So basically, we would help nonprofits fundraise through NFTs and crypto asset donations and stuff like that. Personally, the reason I got involved in the nonprofit space came from, a fleeting moment of tragedy in my life. I was affected by suicide prevention. I actually lost my mother to suicide about 8 years ago, which, as you can imagine, for a 21-year-old kid fresh out of college, it kind of flipped my world completely
Yeah.
upside down, and I was kind of left to pick up the pieces, right? Definitely struggled with her passing for years. And then, honestly, the thing that helped me process and grieve that horrible experience was getting involved with a local mental health nonprofit when I lived in Boston at the time, organization called Samaritans. They do incredible work in the New England area for suicide prevention. I ended up running their 5K about 6 years ago, and just crossing that finish line, being surrounded by other folks who had experienced something similar to me, it filled me with a lot of emotion, and it taught me that you're not in this alone. There's other people in your life that are going through something similar, and all you can really do is turn something horrible into something positive. That's at least all I could do at the time.
Yeah.
And just being part of that community that understood my pain, didn't judge me for it, like that was huge for me. And so that really got me excited about getting into the nonprofit space, giving back to causes that I really care about, and causes that I wear on my sleeve. And then, moved to LA about 9 months ago, saw this opening with Movember, felt like a perfect fit, especially with the mental health angle. And
Yeah.
so I'm here now.
How does your mustache come out?
Man, you can't really see. I shaved yesterday. This is a little 5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
I got a lot of shit from it, for it from my coworkers earlier, because everyone shaved this morning. But I had to get a little head start. I can rock a mean mustache. I got a little Italian blood in me. So
Nice. Fantastic. Yeah, we're just a couple days into November right now. By the time this is released, obviously this is the first of the month. But yeah, we're going strong with this. I got my team put together, raising some money. So yeah, if you out there listening to this, make sure you donate to Movember. Now, what are some signs that you would see for people that like are depressed or are suicidal? Like, what would you recommend for people to do in those situations? Because it is bringing awareness, but a lot of people don't know how to attack that per se.
yeah, totally. And that's part of the problem, man. Especially as men, we tend to shove our emotions down to a point where it bubbles up in a negative way at some point in our lives. And
Yeah.
I think ultimately the first step is having a conversation. We actually have a saying over here at Movember that we kind of go by. The slogan's called ALEC: ask, listen, encourage, action, and check in. Ask, listen, encourage, action, check in. Those seem like pretty simple steps, but they really do go a long way. Like ultimately, what we want our audience to know around mental health is that it's okay not to be okay.
Mhm.
You got to take action by opening it up, by having conversations like this, because talking really does save lives. Asking is the first step in being there for the men in your life. And as corny as that sounds, just having a conversation like this really does go a long way. We do also have a bunch of other programs and resources available at Movember. For example, we launched a program called Movember Conversations, which was basically created to help someone who may need to support someone else who's having a hard time or struggling. So it has a bunch of talking points, discussion points, tangible tools and resources that you can use if one of your friends or family members is having suicidal ideation or something like that. So that program's really great. You can learn more about that at conversations.movember.com. But yeah, man, ultimately it's all about having a conversation, being honest with your friends, and opening it up.
100%. So you can pretty much go to Movember.com as well. You can get directed from there because you guys have a lot of tools and resources on there as well.
Yeah, totally. So a bunch of good fundraising resources and tools. If you go to our website, Movember.com, there's a support us page with a drop down menu, and you can see all the cool programs that we fund and that we support, basically where all the money goes. And then if you want to get involved, the best way to support Movember is to sign up at our website, again, Movember.com. Start a fundraiser if you're passionate about the cause. There's a few other ways to support Movember beyond just fundraising or growing out your mustache.
Yeah.
Obviously, the mustache is a great conversation starter. Like, we're looking for as much awareness as possible, and what better way than to have a ridiculous looking mustache, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a couple other ways you can move for Movember. So we're encouraging our fundraisers to commit to walking or running 60 miles next month, or excuse me, this month, for the 60 men that we lose to suicide around the world every hour. So we're trying to kind of double down on this like endurance physical activity
Yeah.
piece as well. And then the last piece is you can mow your own way. So it's kind of another way of saying you can support Movember however you want, whether it's hosting an event, hosting a shave down live on Instagram, giving up a bad habit this month. However you feel like you're generating awareness for the cause, go for it. Or you can just simply donate at our website. So there's a bunch of different ways that we try to get people involved.
I know I'm just one day in, but I'm giving up sweets and alcohol for the month of November.
Man, good for you.
Oh man, I don't have a sweet tooth. I have sweet teeth, my friend. I will take down so much candy. It's not even funny.
I feel like alcohol is probably the toughest one to give up because you're in the Boston area, right?
Yeah, Boston area. I don't drink a lot, but I drink enough occasionally that it's like, okay, this is going to be like a big break for me for a month.
Well, from my time in Boston, man, it was such a drinking culture, especially when the winter comes around. There's not a lot else to do to stay warm.
No, man, it gets really, really cold out here.
Yeah, wait. Well, you should be proud of yourself, man. That's no easy task.
No, not at all. Now that you live in nice, like, where are you right now?
We're in LA now,
Yeah, it
so
must be nice.
yeah, no complaints.
Now I know you said you had a personal relationship with mental health. We were talking about that earlier. What does mental health mean to you, though?
Oh man. Honestly, yeah, to keep doubling down on this, it means opening it up. Since I shared my personal story, losing my mother, it has opened up so many different doors, and so many people have come out of the woodworks. Folks that I haven't talked to in years, folks that I've never spoken to before, that have DM'd me on Instagram, just expressing their gratitude and support, and also expressing similar experiences that they're going through with loved ones. And so for me, opening it up and being vulnerable has not only helped me process my mom passing, but has helped me honestly feel better about myself by just helping other people. And I think that's what Movember is all about here. We're all about community-based change. And for me, mental health is all about opening up. So I encourage anyone who's listening to, if you're going through a tough time or someone who's struggling, just have a conversation, open up, be open, be vulnerable, and you'll be amazed on how much you'll benefit that person.
Perfect answer, man. There's not a wrong answer for that. And that was a right one.
Oh, good. I appreciate it, brother. See, it's easy when it's true.
Yeah, exactly. Is there any like good parties or good fundraising that you've been seeing around, or what?
Yeah, that's the cool thing about the Movember community, man. Everyone's got such unique fundraising strategies. I've seen folks create Movember scented candles and raffle those off. I've seen folks quilt Movember themed, sew Movember themed quilts and
Oh, no
raffle
kidding.
those off. We have a huge event in New York on November 12th at the Mezzanine. It's called Mustachio-Bashio. It's a big old party, a great fundraiser. Anyone in the New York area, I encourage you guys to check that out because it's a good time and for a great cause. But yeah, man, there's a lot going on. People get very creative with their fundraising.
That's great. Now I have a question for you, and this is pretty much a Mount Rushmore. Who is your Mount Rushmore of mustaches?
Oh man,
I feel like that's
I
got to be one in the office that's been talked
oh
about.
yeah. So it's funny.
Mhm.
All of our conference rooms are named after famous folks who have
Oh,
mustaches.
no kidding.
I think Ted Lasso is probably the most topical choice right now.
Yeah,
And then obviously, oh man, there's so many good. There's some.
there's some good ones. They're different walks of life too. Every mustache isn't the same.
Freddie Mercury kind of takes the
Yeah,
cake.
yeah.
That's a pretty recognizable one.
What about Sam Elliott?
Ooh, yes, he's up there. Burt Reynolds, man,
Yeah,
like there's so many good ones, but I think right now for me it'd be Ted Lasso, Freddie Mercury. Yeah, we'll throw Burt Reynolds up there.
yeah. I like it. I had to hit you with that one. I'm like, the mustache guys need to have mustache guys.
Yeah, I should have that top of mind, man.
Yeah,
That's a good
Mustache
question.
Mountain. Now, I asked this to all my guests, and I kind of am curious. I always do a personal theme song, like what your theme song would be. Does Movember have a theme song or a song that kind of sticks with it?
Oh man,
Oh, legally you can't.
I haven't been here long enough to hear if we have a theme
Oh,
song.
okay.
It's funny in our LA office, whenever there's a new hire, we always have happy hour to commemorate that person,
Yeah.
and they always play Katy Perry's what's the freaking Lion song?
Fi it's not
You know,
fireworks. It's
yeah.
I know exactly what song you're talking about. I'm
Oh
blanking
my
out of my
god,
head.
I should know this. That's definitely not our theme song, but it's just something we always play at the
Yeah.
office.
What would your personal theme song be?
Ooh, oh man. I'm a big Regulators fan by Warren G.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good theme song,
No,
but
that'd be good. Hey, I've heard all different answers with this, and I just love hearing what musical taste people have.
I'm a
Regulators are a good one.
I'm a big rap fan, surprisingly. So Shook Ones, Mobb Deep, that might be up there too.
So who are some of your favorite rappers? Because I'm a big rap fan, hip hop guy myself.
Love Kendrick. Honestly, I think Tupac and Biggie are the goats.
Yep.
Big L. Um, I hate to say it, Drake's pretty solid, even though he's a little mainstream. But yeah,
Go
those
listen
guys,
to
and then Lil Wayne in the early 2000s for sure.
that was real fun. Go back to Big L, listen to the song "The Graveyard," and it has about four guys on it. One of them is a young Jay-Z, and he absolutely kills it on that track. You have to,
No way.
if you haven't heard that one, "The Graveyard" by Big L is a underrated jam.
All right, I'll check that out on my ride home. I appreciate it.
And let's finish up with this, sir. What are three things that you're grateful for today?
I'm grateful for my happiness, which kind of, under that happiness umbrella falls my wife, my dog, French bulldog Bean, Beantown boy. Definitely grateful for my job here at Movember. Staying within the nonprofit space, especially giving back to mental health, means everything to me.
Mhm.
And then I'm grateful for breath in my body, man. Like we take it for granted way too much. Just being able to walk around every day, looking up at the sky, the clouds, the trees, man. Like we need to appreciate the little things more. And so I'm grateful for, or I try to be grateful for every second. It's easier said than done, but it's true.
Amen, brother. Amen. Now, where can everyone find you? Where can everyone go for Movember besides Movember.com? Hit me with it all on the internet.
Yeah. So Instagram, it's just at Movember. Twitter, we have a US specific Twitter handle. It's just US .Movember, I believe. I am on Twitter, Max E Skinner. Feel free to hit me up, DM me if you need anything. You can find me, or you can reach out to me via email at max.skinner@movember.com as well. If you want to get involved in Movember, I'm happy to help.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Max, for coming on. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely, Tim. Thanks for having me, and thank you so much for helping us generate some awareness this month.
100%, man. You turned into another episode of 10 Minutes. Let's break the stigma by cracking a smile. See you soon.
Round one, fight!
Well, first things first, I do this with all of my guests before we go. It's like a great icebreaker to get the energy up, is I play a game of 2 out of 3 rock, paper, scissors. Would you like to play?
Wow, let's do it.
All right, perfect. I haven't met one person that would said no, but I like it.
Yeah, what a sicko.
That's what I'm saying. So I'll call it, it's going to be rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Got it.
We'll go from there, 2 out of 3. I'm going to keep my eyes closed to make this fair, all right?
Fair enough. Let's do it, man.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You got me one.
1-0. Let's do it again. Come on.
All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh, come on. Back
Ooh,
to back.
I told you. I said let's do it again.
You win!
Double rock.
Perfect.
That's ballsy.
You got it.
I love it.
Hey, you had double scissors. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I thought you'd switch it up a bit, but anyways.
Perfect. Great game, sir. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. If you are feeling suicidal, please dial 911.